Sniping in Battlefield 6 is incredibly satisfying, but choosing the right sniper loadout for the situation can make or break your impact on the battlefield. Some attachments can make a huge difference in your performance, while others are likely to just get you killed more often. Plus, the base stats and one-hit kill ranges on snipers vary quite a bit, making the choice even more confusing at a glance. So let's break down the best and worst sniper setups for every situation in Battlefield. With Season 1, we have access to the brand new Mini Scout sniper rifle, which on paper is an absolute beast. Here's how the base stats of each of the sniper options stack up. All snipers have the same precision at 100, and the control stat varies a bit, but honestly this isn't too much to worry about since there's a long delay between each shot anyway. It's definitely not as important as on assault rifles or carbines, for example. The hipfire stat varies a bit too, and honestly I wouldn't put a lot of weight into this one for snipers since hopefully we're not hipfiring all that often. There is kind of a fun build that you can do with the Mini Scout to get that hipfire stat up super high though. The next stats are where the Mini Scout starts to really wipe the floor with the competition. It has the highest mobility, the best reload time, the best muzzle velocity, the fastest aim down sight speed, and the highest rate of fire. Now, some of these stats of course can be buffed on the other snipers by adding attachments, but we can also improve these same stats on the Mini Scout with mostly the same attachments. So here's how the numbers look when we show a pretty tricked out build on each sniper, including things like extended barrels for improved muzzle velocity and aim down sight speed, and angled grips or stubby grips for faster ADS speed as well. As you can see, the Mini Scout still clearly is the best statistical sniper in the game on paper. And if we were purely looking at just the numbers on screen here, I think this would pretty much be the end of the video, but there's actually a lot more nuance here. That's because of a discussion we need to have around the sweet spot mechanic in Battlefield 6. If you aren't familiar already yet, each of the snipers except for the new Mini Scout has a range where an upper chest hit will deal 100 damage, enough for a one-shot kill. I've spent extensive time testing this in private lobbies to try to dial in these numbers, and I still haven't seen any official data on the numbers from the developers, but from what we can tell, the M2010 has a sweet spot from about 74 to 120 meters, the SV98 sweet spot is around 53 to 90 meters, and the PSR sweet spot is somewhere around 100 to 150 meters. It seems like the Mini Scout damage ranges from 80 damage for an upper chest shot at the closest range, down to about 50 meters at the furthest range. So if you were a perfect aimbot and you never missed a headshot, I think the decision is still pretty obvious to go for the Mini Scout in just about every situation. But let's be realistic, most of us are not hitting 100% headshots all the time, and having a generous one-shot kill to the upper body can be a huge difference in landing a kill or just getting a body shot and letting that enemy go behind cover and heal up. In my time using the Mini Scout, it was very obvious how many times I would have gotten a one-hit kill with one of the other snipers because I hit an upper chest shot, but since I hit them with a body shot with the Mini Scout, they were able to heal up before I was able to land that second cleanup shot. Where the Mini Scout clearly dominates is in the close quarters. With the rate of fire being 51, that's considerably higher than any of the other sniper offerings. This makes close quarters fights a lot easier and more forgiving, while also giving way more kill potential. Plus, we haven't even talked about the magazine size. The base Mini Scout starts off at 10 bullets, but you can actually increase this all the way up to 20, which is absolutely insane on a sniper rifle. I found that 15 seems to be more than enough, and in order to fit some of the more expensive attachments, it might just be worth sticking with a 10 fast mag attachment. It also has a built-in ADS bolt allowing you to rechamber shots while still aiming down sights. This is an attachment that typically costs 30 points on the other snipers if you want it, so that is really amazing to open up so many point slots on the sniper without having to spend any on this attachment. I have a full recon guide coming out really soon that goes in depth about mastering the recon class with all of the tips that I know, including ideas on how to drastically improve your sniping. In it, I do mention that the ADS bolt can be a little bit of a noob trap because it encourages you to stay scoped in for too long, and you can clearly get in trouble by overusing it. Here's an example in this clip where I should have stopped ADSing a few seconds earlier and repositioned. It's really easy to get too greedy out there when you're using this ADS bolt attachment and get yourself in some trouble. However, the option to have it without spending any extra points is really nice. After the Mini Scout, I think the pretty clearly next best sniper in terms of stats is the M2010. This one has just barely slower muzzle velocity at 1000 meters per second when using the extended barrel compared to the 1100 of the Mini Scout. Muzzle velocity is maybe the most important stat for sniping at any longer range because it will make it a lot easier to hit those targets who are moving. In my eyes, this was definitely the best sniper in the base game and the most useful overall if you wanted to cover a wide variety of ranges. To me, both the SV98 and the PSR are kind of more specialty snipers for particular engagement ranges. When you get them tricked out with all of the best attachments, you end up with the same muzzle velocity of 900 meters per second on both snipers, as well as the same ADS time of 250 milliseconds. The other important stats are fairly similar, with the only notable exception being that you need to drop down to the 7-round magazine on the PSR if you want to match the same aim down sight speed of the SV98. They also both have the same fire rate of 38, which is worse than both the M2010 and the Mini Scout. I originally planned to turn this into a sniper tier list, but after spending quite a bit of time with each of the snipers and thinking about their stats in different ideal situations, I feel like it doesn't make nearly as much sense to rank them in the traditional S through F type of tier list. Instead, I think it makes a lot of sense to do a more situational tier list. So here's the buckets that I've come up with. If you're 0 to 52 meters away, I think without a doubt the Mini Scout is hands down the best sniper in the game for closer quarters. It excels with the faster rate of fire, higher potential magazine size, and the built-in ADS bolt. And none of the snipers can land a full health one-shot body kill until you reach a little bit over 50 meters anyway. Once we're in that pocket from about 53 to 73 meters, I think the SV98 starts to make a lot of sense, especially for players who can't consistently and reliably hit those headshots in most of their engagements. That close range one-shot kill sweet spot potential is really lethal in these medium to closer quarter engagements, and I think it makes the SV98 a really powerful choice in this pocket. Once we get up to about 74 meters though, I can't see much of a reason to keep using the SV98 over the M2010, even though the SV98 sweet spot goes all the way up to 90 meters. The M2010 on paper is just such a powerful sniper, and it really is only beaten out by the Mini Scout in terms of the stats. That wide sweet spot range from about 74 to 120 meters is such a common engagement distance, especially in modes like Breakthrough, where you're going to be doing a combination of sniping those close frontline infantry players as well as trying to counter-snipe enemies who are sitting towards the back of the map. Once we get out to 120 meters, I think that's really where the PSR starts to shine. Below this pocket, the M2010 beats the PSR hands down in terms of the stats, but the one-shot kill range from about 100 to 150 meters is really powerful, especially on bigger maps like Operation Firestorm, where the backline snipers can be pretty far away. It's also really nice that the PSR comes default with a 10 times scope. This is the highest zoom currently in the game, and it takes other snipers quite a while to unlock a 10 times scope, so having access to one of these longer range optics right off the bat is a really nice feature. Snipers can take a while to level up, so this makes that longer range sniping feel a lot better. Once we get out past 150 meters, I think there's actually an argument to be made once again for the Mini Scout. Having that muzzle velocity of 1100 makes hitting those targets on the move at further distances a lot easier. And with the ability to zero our weapons, which effectively mitigates all drag problems on snipers, it's really an interesting option for those longer ranges. Although I haven't spent a ton of time testing the longer ranges with the Mini Scout yet, so I'll have to report back on that one after I've had some more time for testing. So before you choose your sniper on any map, think about the typical engagement distances that you're likely going to have. If it's going to be close quarters up to about 50 meters, go with the Mini Scout. From about 50 to 75 meters, the SV98 makes a lot of sense. From about 75 to 120 meters, I think it's pretty hard to beat the M2010. And from about 120 to 150 meters, the PSR is fantastic. Of course, if you're an aiming god and you never miss a headshot, the Mini Scout is best at any range. But realistically, I think giving up that one-shot kill range is going to hold a lot of snipers back from getting kills that they otherwise would have landed. I wanted to also give you some quick notes on attachments that I think can be really helpful. As far as sniper scopes go, by far my favorite two in the game so far are the 6x SSDS and the 8x LERT scopes. I find both of these have a super clean and open optic and don't really get in the way of my sniping. The default 6x S-VPS scope from the M2010 was fantastic in the beta, but something happened in the launch version of the game that absolutely ruined it. The middle red dot and the circle take up way too much of your screen now, so I really like to avoid this one. If you're trying to hit some of those longer range shots and you don't yet have a really long range optic, or maybe you're just going for some of those extremely long range shots, there's a neat trick where you can actually reduce your field of view to 85, which is the lowest value, which you just set temporarily and able to hit some of those longer shots. This will effectively enhance the zoom you feel on your screen. I normally play around 105 to 110 FOV, but if I'm trying to hit some of those extremely long range snipes like on Operation Firestorm, this can be a helpful trick. There's a few attachments that I think make your life a lot easier as a sniper. Try fitting a suppressor onto your sniper if at all possible. The suppressor will prevent you from showing up on the minimap while firing as long as you're more than 15 meters away from the enemy, and will also prevent you from showing up on the in-game world with those little red diamonds at any range. Each of the snipers has the ability to use an extended barrel, which buffs both the aim down sight speed and the bullet velocity. And as I mentioned earlier, these are maybe the two most important stats on any sniper, so I think this is an absolute no-brainer of an attachment to run. On some snipers, you can apply the long-range ammunition, which helps with bullet drop. This makes it easier to hit those long-range shots with slightly less drag. Although with the bullet zeroing system, as I mentioned, I don't know if this is strictly necessary, especially if you're struggling for points to fit the other attachments. I also tested the anti-reflective coating on the sniper, which is supposed to reduce the scope glint. I'll let you be the judge here. I used it in a 1v1 with a friend, and I looked both directly at him as well as panning from side to side. As far as I can tell, there's very little difference here, so I don't really think it's worth spending the points on it, especially when there's so many other expensive attachments that make a lot of sense. The angle grip and the stubby grip both improve your aim down sight speed on each sniper, and I think this is another no-brainer. Faster aim down sight speed means that you can potentially win a lot more of your duels and get kills that otherwise would have ended up in you having a death. I would generally recommend never going for the bipod or the grip pod. Any type of stationary placement like this is just asking to die as a sniper. Your scope glint can be seen from across the map, and it makes it so dangerous against any kind of sniper who's able to hit shots. So I just don't think these make a lot of sense, especially if you're trying to get better at the game. I already mentioned that I'm not generally a big fan of paying the 30 points for the ADS bolt because I think it just generally develops bad habits as a sniper, and it's really expensive. In the same slot though, you can get the mag catch for only 5 points, which improves your reload speed. I think this is a really worthwhile purchase. If you have room to fit any of the lasers, they can really help with your hipfire, which is an area that snipers tend to really struggle with. Although I would probably view this as more of a last ditch effort as opposed to a go-to strategy. In general, I think you're much better off getting really good with your sidearm, and in particular I would recommend the M44 revolver since it has the ability to do a one-shot kill up close or hit a 2-shot body shot kill much faster than your sniper can. If you have the points for it, I think the rangefinder is an amazing attachment. As I mentioned, I have a full guide coming really soon on the best ways to snipe, especially at these longer ranges. For now, the quick version of this is that you can apply the rangefinder attachment to your sniper and then bind any key that you like to the rangefinder zeroing if zoomed option in the control keybinds. Then whenever you scope in, you just press this button to automatically zero your sniper to the correct distance, and the bullet will hit the center of your crosshair. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that recon guide coming up soon. And up next, check out my video on the 13 types of Battlefield players. If you like sniping, I have a feeling I know which one you are already, but hey, maybe you'll recognize yourself in one of the others. It's linked on screen and in the description.